Welcome to the Southern Steward Podcast, where we explore stewardship through the lens of our faith and the great outdoors. Welcome back, y'all, to another episode of the Southern Steward Podcast. I'm Kyle White with my co-host, Will Blunt. Will, how you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty good. Just really glad to get the tournament season kicked off and get going. It's going to be a busy spring, but it's always fun.
Yeah, y'all just had a tournament this past weekend, huh?
Yeah, we did pretty well. We come in third place. It was kind of rough with the river coming up, kind of messed up what we had going, but we managed to scrape up some and finish third. And like I told my partner, you can't win AOY in the first tournament, but you can certainly lose AOY in the first tournament. So we're still looking good for Angler of the Year, and that's kind of what matters to me.
Good deal. We got a lot of things coming up here. Will and I are involved in our men's ministry at church. We got our wild game sipper coming up. But first, we want to tell y'all that Will and I, through the Southern Steward Podcast, are sponsoring a gun raffle. We're going to raffle off a Ruger American Predator Gen 2 in .308. It's a really sharp-looking gun. We're going to raffle this gun off, and I'll give you some more details in just a minute. But all the proceeds from this raffle will go towards the men's ministry at Bayou Sarah Baptist Church. And we're going to draw for the rifle on April 27th. Is that the right date?
Yes.
April 27th at our wild game supper. You don't have to be present to win, but we're going to sell tickets right up to the last minute where we draw. So we'll have the gun there to look at if y'all are interested in that. But anyway, it's a Ruger American Predator Gen 2, and the Gen 2 they just came out with. It's got a bronze Cerakoted twisted barrel. It's threaded, comes threaded already. It's got a Weaver rail mount already on it for your scope rings. It's got a real nice looking splattered pattern on the stock. It's a sharp gun. The action on it is real smooth. I shoot a Ruger American Predator. The first gen is what I deer hunt with, and I've been real happy with that gun. It's real smooth for the price, man. It's hard to beat. So we're gonna get tickets out. You'll be able to contact me or Will. Probably most likely through the Facebook page would be the best way to get that. We'll have our numbers posted there, and we're going to sell tickets for $25 each or $5 for $100. Okay, so be looking for that, and we're excited about that and excited for the opportunity to raise some money for our men's ministry, and then pour that out into outreach or however it looks. So looking forward to that, and also looking forward to today's episode. We got a turkey hunting episode for y'all. It's the end of February now while we're recording, and so by the time this comes out, we'll be knocking on the door of turkey season. We'll be getting close, and I know all of y'all are fired up, and all of you have been getting your shotguns out and maybe patterning them and cleaning up the old slate calls and everything else. So with the raffle that we're doing, we are selling tickets, but you get a special opportunity for Southern Steward Podcast listeners. We're going to give you a promo code at some point during the episode, and if you buy a ticket and you message us the word that is the promo code, then we give you a free entry to the raffle. So with the purchase of an entry and the promo code, you get an extra entry.
And if you buy the $100 and get 5, then you'll get 6.
That's
with
correct.
A promo code.
One entry per person per purchase, not per purchase, but per person. So be looking out for the promo code, and get with us on Facebook, or get with us if you got our numbers, and buy some tickets, man. Support our men's ministry and support what God's doing through Bayou Sarah Baptist Church. All right. Without further ado, we're going to get into the devotion tonight, and Will's going to get that for us. And so Will, take it away.
All right, so tonight I'm going to be talking out of Matthew here, and it's a Sermon on the Mount. So I'm going to kind of give a little bit of a background first before I get into the scripture. So the Sermon on the Mount was it was kind of an explanation of the law to the Jews, and also an assault really on the legalism of the Pharisees, because they had kind of taken the laws of God and kind of added to them and taken them an extra step. And so that's kind of what the Sermon on the Mount was, is kind of not saying the law is, bad or needs to be abolished. It's saying, here's how the law actually applies. And so just like we want to know who his audience is, who is Jesus speaking to here. And so just to kind of go back a little bit, around 63 BC, Jerusalem was annexed into Rome. And so they were no longer an independent nation. So the Jews were under Roman rule at this time. And so the Zealots, a group called the Zealots, they believed that the Messiah was going to be this militaristic Messiah that came in and going to raise an army, and he's going to overthrow the Romans. So that's what the Zealots were kind of looking for in a Messiah. And then the Pharisees, they believed that the Messiah would be a leader kind of like the kings of Israel were of old, and eventually overthrow Rome through kind of a spiritual theocracy type ruling. And so what Jesus was saying in Matthew 5, which is where I'm about to read, it's kind of a disappointment to these two groups, because this is not what they're expecting, not what they're looking for. So tonight I'm going to read Matthew 5, verses 3 through 5. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. So, the first one is blessed are the poor in spirit. So this is referring to knowing that your deeds are nothing but filthy rags, is kind of what this is referring to, that your righteousness is nothing but filthy rags. You could never do enough to get in from your own merit, is what poor in spirit is referring to here. The second one is blessed are those that mourn. And that is talking about mourning over your sin. So it's being, sorrowful for your sin. You should be, when you do sin, it should break your heart for what you've done, sinning against God. And so, these things here were kind of a shock to the Jewish audience a little bit, because they were a very prideful people. The Jews at the time were very much into the law and, obeying the law and being a good person. And, excuse me. So these were kind of, the things that they prided themselves in was, following the law, not working on the Sabbath, and doing all these things that they had kind of added to the law of Christ, which is, taking it a little extra from what it was supposed to be. And so they were kind of self-righteous in their spirituality and kind of in their religion. They were more self-righteous in that. And so when Jesus is saying these things, it's, like I said, it's a disappointment. It's kind of direct opposite of what they want to hear from, someone that's Jesus is claiming to be the Messiah. So it's not what they're wanting to hear. And then the third one is meekness. And meekness it's not weakness. A definition for weakness that I found in the MacArthur Study Bible is, it is supreme self-control that only comes from the Holy Spirit. And so, a lot of times when we think of meekness, we think it looks like somebody who's like really quiet and introverted and to themselves, or somebody that's like weak and wallowing in self-pity or something. That's somebody that's not a strong, confident person is that's not what comes to mind. And that's not really what meekness is. No, it's not like quiet and introverted. If we take a look at what does meekness really look like, it looks like the apostles, when they were preaching boldly in Acts, but yet they all understood that their, like it says in Isaiah, their righteousness are like filthy rags. And so, but they're speaking boldly. They're not, cowering in a corner somewhere. They're preaching the gospel and being persecuted, and they don't care. They're doing it anyway. That's what meekness looks like. And then ultimately, the most perfect example we have, of course, is Jesus. And he had all the power and authority in the universe. He was beaten and suffered a gruesome death that he didn't deserve, completely innocent. And so, at any time, he could have struck all the people dead that said crucify him. He could have struck the whole crowd dead right there, and took over the world if he wanted to. He had the power to do that, but he didn't. Instead, he endured all that so that you and I could be righteous through him, and through that act of suffering and that sacrifice, we could be presented as righteous in the eyes of the Lord. And so, when we think of, as men, when we think of, meekness, don't think of it as us being weak. Think of it as us being strong, but having control of that strength.
This is so funny or coincidental, maybe, or maybe it's just a God thing. Because me and Will have not talked about what the devotion was going to be about, but in my Sunday school class, I'm going through the book of Luke, and literally yesterday we did the Beatitudes.
Really?
Yeah. So Luke's account of the Beatitudes is a little bit different than what Matthew's is, but it's still the blessed are you who are whatever, and most of them fit. But just to start with, like, the poor in spirit, blessed are you who is poor in spirit. And I everything you said was absolutely correct. I'm just going to, because I've just studied it, so I kind of have stuff to say about it. It's awesome how this worked out. Blessed are you who are poor in the spirit. And the way I studied it and understood it was to be poor in spirit is that point in your life where all Christians have been at least once, where we figure out that we come to the realization that we are filthy and wretched and hopeless, and that we can't do anything about it. That the only way that we can get any better is to have a Savior, and that's the lowest, that's the poorest part, the poorest you can be in spirit. And the contrast to that, see, Matthew doesn't give the woes. So in Luke chapter 6, he gives the blessings and the woes. So he contrasts his blessing, or he contrasts the blessing part with a woe. Well, the woe in Luke is woe to you who are rich. And I just want to read this part. I'm not going to go through the whole thing. I want to read, I don't have to read it. I can just kind of quote, paraphrase to you. But it's in Revelations when Jesus is talking, or written, or John is talking from Jesus, whatever, however you look at it, to the church at Laodicea. He says, but you're too rich. Man, I'm just going to read it. I got it right here. I don't want to miss it.
Go for it.
Give me just a second. It's Revelations chapter 3. Okay, I got it. Jesus says, because you say, I am rich, I have become wealthy and need nothing, and you don't know that you are wretched, pitiful, poor, blind, and naked. I advise you to buy from me gold refined in the fire so that you may be rich. You may have white clothes so that you may be dressed, and your shameful nakedness not be exposed, and the ointment to spread on your eyes so that you may see. And I think really that goes along with the rest of the blessing and woes too. When you think about it, like you're talking about meekness, there is no meekness in a proud man. There's no meekness in somebody that fits the description that Jesus gives the Laodiceans, rich and he calls them naked. He's talking about spiritual things. Obviously, they weren't literally naked, but they're rich in spirit. They're pitiful, poor. They're blind. Their spirit is blinded. They're blinded to their need for anything else. They think they got it all figured out on their own. There's nothing meek about those people. That's not the spirit God wants us to have. And you're exactly right. What Jesus is he starts out his Sermon on the Mount where he's trying to explain to his disciples, this is this is the idea that you have of righteousness, and this is what I say about righteousness. That's what Jesus is doing. So he's giving them the outline for it, and the overwhelming theme of Christ's outline of righteousness is meekness, is humble, and poor in spirit. And man, that's a wake up call to all of us, because in Matthew, not in Matthew, in Luke, I'll read this one too, and I won't take us much longer or try to steal your thing. But
You're all good.
Luke chapter 6 in verse 22, he says, "Blessed are you who are hated by the world," more or less. I don't have it pulled up. Or blessed are you, but the woe associated with it is in verse 26. It says, "Woe to you if all men think highly of you." So, and that, man, you know, it spoke to me on a level of like, you know, you and I, we sit and we think about this podcast, and like, we want to have that episode that takes off and people, we get popular or whatever, people find it, whatever. Not that we even have aspirations to be popular, but, you know, we would like for people to listen to it. But like, Jesus says, and his woe, when he says woe, I should have give you a definition of that. When Jesus says woe in like the Hebrew translation, that meant divine judgment be upon you, not like you should feel bad for yourself. It's divine judgment be upon you. So divine judgment be upon you when the world likes you. And I was like, yeah, you know, so what am I even doing? You know, what am I striving for? You know, and not, I think what me and you are doing is a good thing. I'm not saying that, but it's just, you gotta think about mega churches. Think about people pouring into these doors, these arenas that are quote churches, and you got to be kind of skeptical of that, just because it's red letter, man. Yeah, be careful when the world likes you. We're not supposed to be liked. And I used the analogy Sunday in my class. You know, you look around church, and more often than not, when you look around church, it's full of weird people, right? It's full of people that you consider weird. And hey, if that is true, that I'll just go ahead and tell you, it means you're weird too, right? Okay. We're weird, but that's exactly what we're supposed to be. We're not supposed to blend in. We're not supposed to be just like whatever normal standards the world has. We're supposed to be different, and a lot of times that is not being proud. That's being meek. That's being humble. That's not being in the limelight. It's not not that there's anything wrong with being famous or whatever. I'm just saying we have to be wary of that and make sure we're there for the right reasons. But anyway, I think that's so it's such a God thing that you just picked that, and we literally haven't even talked about it this week or what you were going to say. But cool, that worked out.
Yeah, well, you know, he's talking to this Jewish audience here, and you know, it's woe to, and you know, all the woes you're talking about there. You know, it's a warning to them, because they're not even. All he's doing is quoting Old Testament, really. Yep. Because Psalm 37:11 says, "But the meek shall inherit the earth and shall delight themselves in the abundance of peace." Mm-hmm. So this is Old Testament
Jesus
scripture.
He was always telling them stuff they already knew.
Yeah, and so you would think
they couldn't understand it,
right? And you know, the crowd that he's speaking to here, you know, they have this memorized. Yep. So how do you have it memorized and you miss the boat? You know what I'm saying? Like
pride. It wasn't that they didn't. Right. They didn't know what it said. They didn't want to. Yeah. They took it and made it beneficial to them somehow. The Pharisees, like, they would take that and just be like, okay, that is true, and let me show you how good I can be at that. Right. Yeah. And you should try to be like this too. Yeah. And then, of course, they would go back and make sure that you did, or either you paid a price for it. But praise the Lord that Jesus came not to abolish the law, but to fulfill it, so that you and I now live in Christian liberty. And we can save another devotion for taking advantage of Christian liberty later. But we'll live in it right now and be appreciative of it. That was great, man. Appreciate that. That was good.
Yeah, it's funny how things tend to always tie in like that, you know.
Yep.
Kind of, like I said, I had no idea what your Sunday school lesson
you were
was
upstairs
on.
talking about meekness, but I didn't know you were going to talk about Beatitudes. So,
yeah. Yep.
Which Luke doesn't give a meekness. He does poor in spirit, or poor, hungry, hated, and weeping. Blessed are those who weep now, for they'll laugh later. But I guess it's all the same sentiment. Who knows why they wrote it different?
Right. Well, you know, Luke was a historian.
He was secondhand.
Yeah, and he's taking secondhand knowledge. And so you can imagine it's kind of a different perspective. So,
and it was decades later that he wrote it versus when Matthew was there when he said it. Yep.
Right.
All right. Good job. Oh, I know you're looking at me now. Okay. We promised you a promo code earlier. So we told you earlier, and I'll remind you now, we're doing the gun raffle, and this promo code that I'm about to give you, if you will text it to Will and I or message us on Facebook or Instagram, and give us the promo code with your paid entry or paid ticket, you'll get one free entry if you use the promo code. And the promo code is Keith.
Keith. Keith.
Or Keef. I'll take that too.
Keith. However you want to spell that.
And if you're listening, Keith Williams, that's for you, buddy. Keith came up with the idea of the promo code, and we're throwing him a bone. Keith is the promo code. So appreciate y'all for listening. Anyway, we're going to get into our guest now and talk turkey.
I'm ready.
Let's do it.
All right.
All right, y'all. We got a pretty special guest with us tonight. We got Evan Mosley. I've met Evan through his old job at NRCS, which is Natural Resource Conservation Service, and learned a little bit about Evan and his turkey hunting success. And so we decided to get Evan on here to talk to y'all and tell us a story about some of his recent success, and then give us maybe some tips and stuff on turkey hunting. So, Evan, without further ado, how are you?
Good. How are y'all tonight?
Doing well. Good. So, we'll start out with a little plug, and then we'll end with it too. Evan, as of January 1, was officially self-employed, or maybe it was January 3rd, right?
Yeah, January 3rd, if you're going to be exact.
Yep, January 3rd, Evan left the Natural Resource Conservation Service and went to work for himself full-time for Oakridge Mounts, which is his taxidermy business, and he specializes in turkeys and ducks. You only do turkey and waterfowl, right?
Yeah, occasionally I'll do some fox squirrels too, so
okay.
But no deer, nothing like that.
And right off the bat, that's taking you into some cool stuff. Evan just got back from the NWTF show up in Nashville. Looked like y'all had a great time up there.
Yeah, absolutely. We've been up there before. This year we had a booth, and it's special. It's a cool place up there. A lot of cool folks you meet, and you never know who's going to walk around the corner.
Now, for me, it would have been Toxie Hayes. Meeting Toxie Hayes would have been pretty cool. But who was the coolest, or who are you most nervous to meet up there? Because I know you met Toxie Hayes and you met Trent Ellis, and I don't know. I saw some other people, but you didn't get nervous to talk to any of them.
I wouldn't say nervous. They're just people like us, and that's cool meeting Toxie. Super nice guy down home. I mean, like me and you talking right here, just talking to him.
Yeah,
real cool guy.
They're like celebrities to me, though. That's I think. Anyway, I don't want to get into it, but I bought some trees from Mossy Oak Nursery not too long ago, and Dudley Phelps called me on the phone, and I listen to Dudley Phelps twice a week on the Gamekeepers podcast and all, and I was talking to a celebrity, except for nobody else knew he was a celebrity. I don't even, Dudley wouldn't even consider himself that either. But anyway, all right, enough of that. Evan, so little background, last year, the 2024 turkey season, Evan has killed what they call the Grand Slam, the North American Grand Slam, Turkey Grand Slam. Anyway, so Evan, explain what that is, and then you can tell us your story.
Yeah, so that's the 4 subspecies of wild turkey. There is more, but like you said, North America is the 4. Osceola, South Florida, and then actually it's funny, I'm sitting here in Mountain Osceola. Osceola, then you got Easterns, then you got Rios, then you got the Miriams. They're all special. Some people might say one's harder than the other to kill. At the end of the day, they're all turkeys, and I think the rain's harder than the turkey itself. So, where you want me to start? But I can start down south.
Start with number 1.
Yeah, but that'd be the Osceola for me. So there's 2 different things. I don't know if you kind of caught this. I killed a single season Grand Slam, but I needed an Osceola to kill my just Grand Slam. So I killed the other 3 subspecies previously. Different years, bounced around.
Okay.
Got lucky, whatever. So I just needed my Osceola to finish it technically. So but I started out last year, said I was going to do it, and 3 trips later, and I think it was about 17 or 1,800 miles, back and forth 3 times from Mobile to South Florida. Finally killed one on the last day and last hour.
Man, is this how far south in Florida you got to go to find Osceolas?
Yeah. You look at the NWTF line, it's pretty high up, basically where the state of Florida turns and goes south, somewhere in there. I forgot the highway it's near. I went all the way south. I started last year, I think it was the 2nd last year, March 2nd, that it opened down there, far South Florida. Everybody's heard of Big Cypress, I'll throw that out there. It's not for the weak down there. It was a eye-opening experience, to say the and I didn't kill one down there. But
so how different is it hunting down there compared to like hunting like Easterns here in Alabama? Is it I imagine with it being Everglade territory down there, it's just a lot different habitat, and what's the differences there?
I told a guy today, actually, he was talking about going down there this year. I told him, I said, you can't be afraid of water, and you got to be comfortable being wet, because it don't matter if you're wearing knee boots or hip boots or whatever, you're probably going to get wet. So I wasn't really prepared for that. I really didn't know what I was getting into. I just wanted to go kill a turkey and finish my game plan, and it opened first down there, so why not go down there?
Yeah.
So do they like pitch down in like the only dry spot there, or do they actually pitch down in some of that swampy, watery place?
Back there's like picture islands, basically. Big islands, some are bigger than others. Them turkeys down there like to roost in cypress stones, from what I saw, or edges of cypress stones. So you might have dry land around it, you might not. Now, what kind of, I have to say, surprised me, but shocked me, I think it was the first or second morning down there. Got on a bird, it started gobbling. I actually walked right underneath him, didn't even know it. Made it on the other side of the cypress stone. I'm in deep water, and made a cross, and I just kind of stood there, and he gobbled, and he wasn't 80 yards from there. Miracle, he gobbled. Just walked right underneath the bird, and a hen pitched down right next to me. And she stopped. She was on my side on the driveway. And I was like, okay, this is good. And she was talking to her, and he gobbled a couple times. I'm in a good spot here. Well, about that time I saw her, and she was going back and forth on the edge of the cypress stone. It was pretty deep water. Especially for a turkey. The next thing you know, you hear kapoosh, and there she went. She walked straight off all that water, and at that point I realized I had to completely forget everything that I knew about turkey hunting and restart.
Now, is this
not care.
is this public land in South Florida? Did you kill him on public land, or was it?
I did. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Big Cypress was public land. I didn't kill one there. I should have. I had to come out earlier than expected because water was coming up. I stopped way off in there. I didn't want to get stuck. So,
are the mosquitoes worse down there?
boy, howdy.
Them gnats down there, man, are awful.
Everything
I fished a little bit in South Florida, and those gnats down there, man, they're relentless.
Everything down there will get you. Like I said, I was still shocked. I didn't really know what to expect, but it was cool for sure. I'd definitely go back, and it just wasn't. I wasn't really prepared. I'll say that.
All right, take us to turkey number 2.
All right, well, turkey number 2. Running back up, I didn't kill any big clappers. Went home early. Actually, while I was down there, went caught me a peacock bass. That was pretty cool on my bucket list. Came back home after sitting in the hotel for 2 days watching it rain, and back down. Other dozen bay down there, not as far down there. Heard one bird in I think 3 days. Was way off in there. Couldn't get to him. He shut up. You know how all that goes. So that was trip 2. That wasn't really good. Trip 3, I had about 2 days or 3 days left. I think it's 2 days left on my 10-day license. I was like, I'm going to go again. You know, I got a chance to kill it. And that's when I killed it. Last day, last hour. I think I shot that bird at like 10 something. I believe around this lunchtime. So it was worth it. It was fun. I met some cool folks. I actually still talk to met some boys in Mississippi. I still talk to them today. And another guy where I ended up killing that bird, I still talk to him pretty often. So
yeah, that's one of my favorite parts about your story. Evans told me the story before, and just the people, how fond you talk of the people you met out there hunting when really, like, especially public land, turkeys and turkey hunters get such a bad rap. Will told a story last podcast about hunting a turkey on public land and the guy just coming in and running his bird off and then getting back in the truck and leaving. Like, intentionally came in on him and run the gobbler off. But the story you told me, which I'm sure you're going to share, is like overwhelmingly good about everyone.
Mm-hmm. Now, I did that story you just mentioned. I did not exactly have that happen. That's why I didn't kill one of the big cypress, because I had a guy behind me on the gut. We're hunting the same group of birds, and I told him, I said, let's just hunt together. There's 3 birds in the group, and well, the bird was at 30 yards gobbling, and his hand was looking at the dude behind me laying on his stomach in the middle of the road. Hey, what are you doing?
Well, he was trying at least. He just didn't really. He wasn't very good at it. The guy at Will's scenario, he was not even trying to hunt. He was just trying to keep Will from killing one.
I'm not even sure that he had a gun in his hand. He just walked in between me and the bird, and it flew off, and he left.
Well, hindsight, 2020. I'm glad that bird didn't round the corner. I watched 2 of his hands and like 4 of his Jake buddies come out and little rows, and they all spooked to me because the guy behind me, obviously, the bird was right maybe 30 yards around this curve, and he was gobbling his brains out. But that's a good thing he didn't step out, because that guy had a gun behind me, and you know how that would have went. That bird would have stepped out the road. So.
Yep, you'd have got peppered maybe.
Yeah, that was my Florida experience. I had a ball. I'd love to go back. I told my wife I may or may not go back this year. I don't think she really wants me to, but I kind of want to. But you know how that goes. But from there, let's see where did I go. I think we went to Texas. Me and my buddy went to Texas. Killed 2 Rios, or I killed 2 Rios. He killed 1. That was a quick, fun trip, really. I actually did that in between my second and third trip to Florida. So at that point, if I killed my Rio or another Rio, I didn't have my ICO at that point, and he killed one on that trip to South Florida that was. And like, dude, I'm going back next weekend. Like, you're crazy. Like, well, that's what it is. But, yeah, we went to Texas. I think there was a group of 4 of us, and we killed 5 birds in a day and a half.
Man.
Yeah, I've heard that those birds are out there aren't as smart as the birds we have here.
I wasn't going to bring that up yet.
Hey, I'll take it. After getting my tail whooped in Florida, I'll take whatever I could get.
I was about to say, I'm not a very good turkey hunter, so maybe I need to go out there and like make myself feel better about how good of a turkey hunter I am out there.
Man, it was fun.
I know some guys that go every year. They're actually good turkey hunters, but they go out west every year and kill some turkeys.
Well, I know you're gonna get to it in a second, but I mean, there's Texas turkeys versus the Midwest. Notorious, the Midwest turkeys are pretty dumb. Is that your experience, Evan? Kansas, or did you kill one in Kansas?
I did. I killed one in Kansas last year. I wouldn't say they're dumb out there. A turkey's a turkey regardless of where you're at. Now, some gobble more than others. Some gobble like longer up into the day more than others.
Yeah.
That's the big difference to me. Now, last year in Kansas, we flew with, I'd call them hemmed up birds, and, they wouldn't budge. They'd gobble at you every now and then, but they would not come to you. So I wouldn't say they're more dumb. They act like turkeys. Get down here in the South, they're difficult.
Yeah, well, I say that, and I'm not a good turkey hunter, but I went to Kansas for 5 days and struck out 2 years ago. So that's if I'm calling them dumb, and I didn't kill one, but I don't
What
claim
does that
to
make
be
you?
Right, exactly. But anyway, I got you kind of off course there. So you got what is the subspecies? What is the subspecies in Texas?
Texas killed Rios.
Rios. All right. So we got Osceola and Rios down. What came next?
Yep. And then me and my wife flew out to Colorado. We try every year for the past 3 years now. We try to go out west somewhere and something kind of sightseeing for her and me. And then I also kind of slide in a turkey hunt a couple of days. And it's kind of caught on to my tactics now, though, so I don't think we're going out.
Hey,
yeah.
You're blessed in that department, man. From what I see, she likes to go and do it too.
Yeah, and I put her through the ringer, especially when we were engaged or when we got engaged. That was 2 years ago now, I guess. 2 springs ago. We flew out to Montana. Went to Yellowstone, looked around. That's where we got engaged, was in Yellowstone, actually. And
Okay.
Slept in a rental car in the National Forest for 3 nights.
That's cool, man. That's great.
And it was Montana. I've been to Montana, Wyoming twice, actually, and then Colorado, and I love it out west, and I'd go back every year. That's probably my favorite bird to hunt, but it's far from here. So.
And that's going to be Miriam's, right?
Correct. Yep.
Okay. All right.
Yep. So last year, we flew into, where did we fly? Denver, and then we drove a couple hours, hunted around. I like to go early out there, late April. I'd rather deal with a hemmed up bird that gobbles than a bird, later in May that just don't gobble.
Amen.
And that's just how I like to do it. But I know a lot of people like to go out in May, and it is what it is. I get to beat the crowd, but it can be frustrating too, though, dealing with hemmed up birds. But like I said, I like to hear them though. So
Yep.
So we hunted around Colorado a couple of days, got a tail whoop. All them birds were actually on private land down in the bottoms. National Forest is, mountain. And when I say mountain, like
real
I don't
mountains.
know if it's been out there, but I don't want to go back. I'll put it that way.
Will's been out there, but I have not yet experienced the Rockies.
I actually called up some Miriams to my uncle's cabin with an old hand call, just the old box call, and I didn't know what I was doing. I just had an old box call, and started yelping on that thing and called up a whole group of Miriams.
Man, if you go in these little towns out there, you ask somebody, hey, you seen any birds? Oh, yeah, they're everywhere. Like, what are you talking about? They're everywhere. It's just that or Airbnb, and man, birds are just goblins. People, they call them like the town birds or whatever. You know, which the town's surrounded by national forest, but still, them birds, they know to stay in town.
Yep. No, that's how you ended up killing one in Colorado, right? Was by somebody saying they had them in his yard or something like that?
Yeah, so like I said, we got our tail kicked a couple of days, and then we went back into town. We saw on Facebook there was a food truck. There was a pizza, whatever, making thing out of wood burning stove and all sorts of stuff. But yeah, that'd be cool. So we went back into town, ordered a pizza, and me and my wife were wearing camo, obviously. They just kind of, oh, y'all out here hunting? Like, oh yeah. Small talk with these folks, and the lady just kind of like turned around, and I started talking to my wife, and I heard her. She's talking to her husband who's back there cooking. Like, you got a place they can hunt, and I heard that, and I was like, oh. And about that time, he walked out the back of the trailer, and he's like, hey, come here. Like, you got on that? So like, sir. And he kind of turned around and pointed up the mountain. He's like, you see that opening? He's like, find that. I found it, and they said, anywhere you see that name, you can hunt. And I just kind of looked at him. And I was like, are you serious? Being from here, that don't happen.
Nope.
That don't happen at all.
You get looked at ugly just for asking.
Exactly. You get shot at, gun pulled on you, whatever. All sorts of stuff. But long story short, that was like, late lunchtime, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, something like that. And out there, the days are long. It don't get dark till 8 o'clock or something like that. So I asked him, I said, you mind if I go up there and kind of look around for the morning? Yeah, go ahead, whatever, gate's open. Okay. And we get up there, and he told us where to park, and I asked him, like, where do you think we should go? Because I saw there was a creek on the map, and he's like, oh, it don't matter, they're everywhere. I was like, okay. Here we go. And we get up there, we walk probably maybe 100 yards from the car. And I called one time, and I didn't hear nothing, but I thought I saw something, so we kind of eased up, and there's a whole flock of birds. And long story short, we played with them that afternoon. They gobbled a little bit. I think it was gobbling Jake. My wife said that one had a long beard, but we didn't get on them that afternoon. So we kind of had an idea where they went. So we got back there in the morning. They started gobbling, got on them. And messed us up, and I don't know if y'all know anything about them. The turkeys don't like to run. They hit the ground in the morning, they know where they're going, and they're going there. I try to tell people that too. Like, you're not gonna, very rarely you'll turn him around. If you're in a little bubble, so to speak, he'll come look at you, but if you're not where he wants to go, he's going where he wants to go. So that's kind of how that first morning went there. And we made a big loop and pulled with them birds for a while, and they're working off in the national forest. And like I said, all that mountains, like bad mountains that I don't really fool with. But all right, let's loop back towards the truck and go get a sandwich and recharge a little bit. And like, picture a logging road for us, and there's a creek on the left side, and this place that we got to hunt was an old horse farm. Had like these old pastures kind of grown up and stuff like that. And we're walking out into, I guess you'd call it old pasture. It was real small, but it was a pasture. I kind of stopped, and I was like, hold on, before we walk out there on the call, we backed up a little bit, and there's no trees like within 20 yards of us, so we're standing open. And I got a poplar call, what it was. And I barely even touched the thing, and two birds just ate it up, maybe 80 yards away from us. So we go to scrambling and hit the deck and find a tree. And long story short, I had to readjust one time, and I left my wife by one tree, and I moved up about 20 yards. It was like a little hill, and 30 seconds later, and see two redheads coming right at me, and here they came, two long beards, and I let them get to about 25 yards, and want to play with them now. They're in kill. So I started calling to them, and they started double gobbling and triple gobbling. And my wife behind me with our camera trying to record it all. And you could barely hear it, but you couldn't see them. Ended up killing. Just there and left all of them. He wasn't. That was the Colorado Marion.
So you didn't. I kind of thought for a second you were going to lead us that you let your wife shoot one of them, but that wasn't the case, was it?
No, it wasn't. We've been together a few years now, and I asked her every year. I think I asked her the other day, said, "Do you want to kill a turkey this year?" And she had no desire to.
Okay, well, you got that going for you anyway.
So did you get any of them on video?
I got the Texas one on video. I'm trying to think. I think that's the only one I got on video. I actually ended up killing a double with my buddy out there. 3 birds came in. We shot at the same time. I actually missed. He killed his. The one I shot at flew up straight up in the air, and the other 2 worked off and came right back. So got that one on video. But I got the recording, just the audio.
Nope. Did we lose you?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, gotcha. It just went
quiet for a second.
All right, so one more to go. And you didn't kill the Eastern in Alabama, did you?
So that's what's funny about it. The Easterns in most of the United States, the whole, basically Kansas East, basically. I hunted one day, I hunted opening day of public land in Alabama, just that one day. And then I hunted the last weekend, Saturday and Sunday in Alabama. That Saturday and Sunday, the last weekend, I called up 2 birds to 20 yards twice one morning and did not get a shot either time. So I did not kill a bird in Alabama, which is funny, home state.
Yep, all that running around.
Yeah, so what I ended up doing, the last minute kind of thing, I forgot what weekend it was. It was in May. Whatever holiday that is. I ended up buying a plane ticket, and I flew my happy self up to Michigan. Never stepped foot in Michigan, never thought of going to Michigan, and ended up flying up there, driving a couple hours. First morning, got on some birds and killed one the first morning to finish my single season flight.
That'd be dang.
Wow.
That's impressive. Or lucky, one or the other.
So do you have like a display with all 4 fans or something? Or
So I actually ended up mounting the Rio for one of my Rios, and then I mounted the Marion, the Colorado one. I'm going to back up too. Actually, when we were in Colorado, I killed that bird, and we had about 2 days left. And the year before, I went to Wyoming, got my tail whooped. So we had 2 days, I think it was, left. So we could, we were talking about either changing our flight to come back early or to go driving. And luckily, my sweet and loving wife, we drove about 5 hours away from where we were into Wyoming, got a cool little Airbnb. And that first morning in Wyoming, I killed another Marion. So,
wow.
Just that gum.
Yeah, lucky last year. I ended up, I don't count hunting Alabama. I hunted 6 states and killed 7 different birds. So
Wow. I meant to introduce you as the next Eddie Salter. I forgot though, but I can put that plug now. We can call you the next Turkey Man.
say that too well.
That's awesome, man. To go to. So the place you went in Wyoming, was that the place you had been the previous year, or was it new?
No, so that was a brand new spot. So we're on the way up there. Didn't know where we were going. We were just driving north to Wyoming.
Yeah.
And my wife, of course, which I don't blame her, didn't want to sleep in the car no more.
Yep.
Which we didn't sleep in the car this trip. Trying to get away from that for her. But I told her, I said, pick you an Airbnb and I'll figure it out from there. And she found the one and it worked out.
So it kind of is a good segue to some other stuff now that, I mean, it's an awesome story. It's incredible. And Man, what a blessing it is for you to have a wife that's tolerable and to go and do, and two, to have the time and all to go do that. That's a cool story, and I hope you get to do it again.
You and me both.
Yeah. But talking about Wyoming and your Michigan trip, again, Evan had shared these stories with me before, so I kind of had this on my mind. Like, what are you looking for? I mean, on Onyx or Google Earth or whatever. Obviously, you're looking. First thing is to find local public ground, whether it's national forest or WMA or whatever. But like, what makes you say I'm going to try this spot at 4:00 in the morning, where you're going to walk into somewhere you've never been in the dark?
Yeah. I like to pick. Normally, I like national forest now because I camp a lot. I got a camper shell in my truck. I got a bed built back there, and so I find somewhere I can park and sleep. I slept in Walmart parking lots, and I like sleeping in the woods.
Yeah, it's a little more comfortable.
Yeah, you don't have security guards tapping on your window and all that crap. So, now, back to your question though, I like diversity. I use Onyx, I use Google Earth, basically anything. Caltopo is a good one.
Yeah.
Diversity is a good one. I like, obviously, any animal's got to have water, so that's a big thing that I look for. Creeks, and down here you got clear cuts and stuff, timber change. Other places you might, just depends where it is. Short answer is diversity is what I look for.
Yeah, just habitat changing, whether it's meadows to aspens or whatever.
Yep. So I mean, same thing. I go to Midwest and deer hunt. They like edges and stuff, habitat change, same thing.
Yep.
Fruit, some kind of change.
Yeah.
And if you find fields too, that's always a plus. Even though I hate a field bird.
I don't mind a field bird in the afternoon when I've been getting my butt kicked all day. If I can go out there. You
gotta use decoys. That's another thing. I don't like using decoys. So,
well, I guess if we're defining terms here, the field you're talking about out Midwest is probably a whole lot different than a food plot that I'm talking about. So, you can bushwhack one out of a food plot in Alabama. You ain't bushwhacking them in an 800-acre cornfield.
Right. Yeah. Out west, you get cornfields and bean fields and stuff like that. But it's good. Obviously, it'll hold birds and stuff like that. But they're hard to call out of the field. Not saying you can't. I have done it, but it's not my favorite.
So I got a question. One of the, I guess the biggest questions I had when I first started turkey hunting is, when to call and when is calling, when have you called too much and when have you called not enough? So like, what is your approach, I guess, when you go to start calling?
I like to start soft. I used to be to where when I first started, I loved to hear them gobble, which I love to hear them gobble now. Don't get me wrong. I forgot who said the quote. It's something, and I'm going to butcher it. Something to the effect of, "Would you rather hear one gobble or would you rather kill one?" So that's kind of what I had to start, teaching myself. You got to kind of hide the hen, so to speak. So you got to interest them, but you can't talk too much. I mean, let's be honest. If my wife is nagging me, do I want to talk to her or come to her? Probably not. She'll probably hear this. But you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You might not agree, but you know. So.
Right. So, like, I guess, like, let's say you have one, you called to and you hear him pitch down, and let's say it's been 15, 20 minutes and there's no sign of him. Do you call again? Do you just stay there and be patient? What do you do in that type of situation?
If I don't hear him and I'm pretty sure he's, close, I'll sit there. Normally, if you don't hear one, and I like to give it at least 45 minutes before I leave, because a lot of times, 10 times out of, we'll come in there, quiet, come in there just looking.
I can't tell you the amount of times I've got up and busted one.
Yep. There it was, 20 yards front.
Yep.
Sound like a helicopter getting out of there.
Yep.
No, but, first thing in the morning, I really don't like calling to them when I'm alone. I used to, and more times than not. I watched a bird one time that I hunted 3 or 4 days in a row or something. He'd roost in the same spot, and same thing. He'd gobble his brains out. But if you called to that bird, he would not fly down because, in nature, the hen goes to the gobbler. So he'd just sit there looking for her. Now, I do call to them a little bit on the limb. If they answer me one time, then I normally quit.
Yeah.
After that, I wait till they hit the ground. Once they hit the ground, the game's on. Then you can play with it. I really don't like calling a lot, though, honestly. I call them okay. I'm not going to say it's better than a lot of people, but it's better than a lot of my friends. But it's still not great.
What I've found as I've gotten to be a more experienced turkey hunter is that you don't have to be great at calling. You just it's really how the least amount you can do is what you want to get away with for the most part anyway. So just clucking and purring goes a long way.
Just let them know
you're there. There's a lot within the calling that's not actually calling, like scratching in the leaves. That's my favorite thing to do. You can hear that a lot farther than you think. So, that's probably one of the best things that I would tell somebody. You don't have to call, so to speak, but you can scratch, and even when you're walking around, don't just go running through the woods, basically. You got to sound like a turkey,
Yeah, I can't. I've done some fly down noises and scratching a little bit, but I can't say that I've used scratching to finish off a turkey. I hadn't never thought about that. That's
actually how I killed my Osceola last year. Sitting there scratching. I called maybe 20 minutes prior, and I took them scratch every 20 seconds. And I just kind of looked up, and there it was, walking dead towards me. So,
how about that?
Yeah, I love scratching. And you can't mess it up. I mean,
What about, do you think you can owl too much while he's on the limb? Do you think owl calling makes him weary?
Short answer, yeah.
Yeah.
So I grew up hunting in a club. I've been in a club forever, the same club. My dad kind of got me into turkey hunting, and then, Lord forbid, my dad he couldn't kill a turkey very good. Mm-hmm. So I learned from a guy, Uncle Barry, who's not my uncle, how.
Right.
And that joker, every morning, he wouldn't even, think the turkey's there until he owled and the bird gobbled. And if he didn't gobble, he'd keep owling until he gobbled. Yes and no. Private land, I think, regardless of turkey's a turkey. But I think there is a difference in private land and public land birds because they get more wary of people on public land. So to answer your question, yes, I think you can owl too much. But it's kind of past few years, the more I started hunting public land, which that's all I hunt now, I don't even owl it. Once or twice a year, I'll owl. I just like to let birds, wake up on their own. And I'd rather them not know I'm there until it's too late for them.
That's something I got to work on.
A buddy gave me that same advice when I started hunting public land. He told me not even to owl. He just said, go listen.
Yeah, yep. Public land is one thing. I don't hunt a lot of public land, though. I'm hunting my lease, and I know those birds are there, and I want to hear that sucker gobble bad. And I know he'll gobble at an owl because they do. Anyway, I'm subject to scream at one until he gives in. I'll do that.
That's how I used to be in that club. I'd owl every morning. He'd gobble. I'd move closer. I'd owl again. I wouldn't call to him until I was sitting on my butt within, say, 120 yards.
You can kill the 2-year-olds that way. You can do that.
True. I had a buddy last year on some public land. His first time going. I think it was his first time on public land. I guess he just wanted to do a screech owl. Said, all right, go ahead. He did it. Bird gobbled. And he was like, see, I told you.
Told you.
And I was thinking, yeah, he gobbled. We already walked past him. He was between us and the truck. And I was like, well, we'll go hunting, but don't get your hopes up.
Yep.
And that joker never gobbled again.
Because they'll also gobble at log trucks and
donkeys. I've heard them do
cutters
donkeys.
Cranking up. Yeah, donkeys. I've heard that before too. Yeah. Coyotes howling.
Popping on the road.
Cows moving.
Yep. Okay. I'm pretty sure I know the answer to this question, but thinking about you kind of hunting short windows in different states, like your quick trip to Michigan or wherever. I know they won't always all be that way. But say you're on a bird and he's gobbled on the roost, and maybe he's got some hens with him or whatever. Maybe he even gobbles on the ground after he flies down and all. But 10 o'clock rolls around and he's shut up. What are you doing? Moving on?
I'm in a new state and I got limited time. I'm probably going to stay in the same area, at least that first day, because he's there. Don't leave birds to find birds.
Okay.
Now, that being said, he could be 2 miles from there, so
right.
You can be sitting there, for no reason. But I like big, special. They are henned up because 9 times out of 10 you can make them gobble. Even if you're not going to kill one, there's a difference in calling to one and he gobbles ready to come to you all that. And there's a difference in that and calling to one and having, to pull it out of him. Now, if you pull it out of him, he's there. You might not kill him. If you keep gobbling, you can, get close, but still. I don't like leaving birds to find other birds, though, if I don't have to.
That's a good point.
Same thing with fish.
That's quick trips.
I got one for you. So, shotgun of choice and shotgun shell.
I was going to let's do it this way because I had this in mind to do kind of a rapid fire thing to wrap it up.
Okay.
I just want to make sure you're done with tactical stuff. You good on all that?
Yeah, I think so.
All right, let's do some rapid fire here, Evan. All right, 20 or 12? Red dot or no?
I just started shooting a red dot. I seem to like it, so I'm going to go with it.
Okay. TSS or just the heavy shot?
And a 20 gauge TSS. 12 gauge no.
9s, 10s, blend, what?
I think when I shoot some Apex Ninjas, I think they're 8.5.
Oh, they're 8.5s. Okay. All right. Box call, diaphragm, slate.
It depends on the day. Not a box call, but I don't really use one of them anymore.
You got to give me a favorite.
All
right.
Rob, mouth call.
Okay. Mossy oak or real tree?
Mossy oak.
Bottomland specifically, the original.
Yeah.
Yep.
Original. I didn't know there was any other.
They got a like a newer bottomland pattern that's a little different, but anyway, that's all I got rapid fire. Did you have another one?
Nothing I can think of, no.
Yeah. All right, Evan. Oh, this was kind of extra, and we've probably gone on long enough. I know you're probably ready to get off the phone, but I just wanted to add another little funny story. It is a little more recent, and it's not turkey hunting, it's deer hunting. So Evan kind of to celebrate, or the way I see it was to celebrate his official quitting of his other job to go full-time for himself. He and a buddy went to Mississippi Delta to hunt, and it wasn't during the snow because it was before Christmas, huh? Or was it right at Christmas?
It was right before the snow.
Right before the snow.
was the 1st of January I think I left on like the 5th maybe, or 6th. Ended up going by myself, actually. What did I freeze?
Oh, you went by yourself?
Yep.
Okay, I was thinking it was you and your buddy cuddling in the back of your truck.
No, I don't have buddies that good.
Okay, all right. Well, that doesn't make the story as good, but yeah. So I talked to Evan. I texted him while he was supposed to be over there, and it was like 19 degrees here or something like that, and he's over in the Delta of Mississippi, and I just knew it. And he had told me he was going to be sleeping in the back of his truck, and how miserable that had to have been. But I thought you had a buddy in there with you that was helping you stay warm. I was going to poke at you for that. But.
I did have a buddy here, but I don't run that when I'm in the back. Now, I did, when it got cold, I will tell on myself, I went up with her in Alabama about we both slept back there and woke up and the whole thing's iced over and all that, and it's cold. You prepare for it, and I didn't snuggle with him, if that's what you get at. I didn't tell him.
But you did kill a pretty good deer, and you killed it in Kansas, huh?
That was in Missouri, actually.
Oh, Missouri, yeah.
I haven't got lucky enough to draw Kansas yet. Hopefully this year will be the year, though.
Okay. So maybe we'll talk about deer hunting later this year. We'll save that. Like I said, we've been 45 minutes here, and we want to be respectful of your time, and you got your hands full with mounts too. So, being said that, guys, if anybody's got any waterfowl or turkeys or anything, you need to. We'll share Oakridge Mounts on Facebook, but y'all look them up. And I guess if you have waterfowl, I'll put them in the freezer and save it for next year because Evan's full up, right?
Yep. Made a post a couple days ago, full on waterfowl. Getting ready for turkey. Like I said, I'm mounting one right now. Hopefully I can get these done. And I know I ain't going to get them all done before turkey season, but trying to make some room. So,
is that the best way to get up with you there on Facebook, your Facebook page, Oakridge Mounts?
Yeah, you can either get up with me Facebook, shoot me a message, or you can call me or text me. Preferably text me so I got your name. You can share my number, 251-366-5252. Either way, whatever's easiest.
Yep. Well, Will, you got anything else?
I'm good. No, we appreciate you coming on and talking to us, Evan.
Yep.
Yeah, thanks all for having me.
Thanks, man. We appreciate your time, and hopefully you can, stay busy and keep doing the full-time thing. I think it's awesome. What a step of faith. I know me and you have talked, and you saw God leading you that way, and what an opportunity and what a cool thing, and look forward to seeing what you do with that.
Thank y'all.
Yep. All right, man. Appreciate you. We'll holler at you later.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks for having me. Y'all have a good night.
You too.
You too, Evan. Thanks.
All right. That's going to do it for episode 6 of the Southern Steward podcast. We appreciate y'all listening. Again, be sure to check us out for that. Get your tickets for the gun raffle. We're going to draw for it on April 27th, the evening of April 27th at our Wild Game Supper at Bayou Sierra Baptist Church. You don't want to miss that. We'd love to have you in attendance there as well. You can get with me and Will on that too. We'll have a cook-off. You can enter to win the championship belt for your wild game dish. We're going to have tons of door prizes and giveaways, and
it's a lot of fun.
We'll have a guest speaker from a group called Rain Down Ministries. It's PJ Weeks out of somewhere in middle Mississippi. I think Hattiesburg maybe. But anyway, we're looking forward to that, and we hope you'll be a part of it. Get with Will and I if you want more information on that. All right? You got anything else, Will?
I'm good, man.
All right. We'll see y'all later. Thanks for listening.
Yep. Thank you, guys. See ya.